Yes, you are. Welcome to Trader Chat. We're counting down to the end of the flat season with Champions Day at Ascot on Saturday. But let's talk Premier League first and foremost. Flynn's beloved Arsenal, top of the table still. Man City versus Liverpool on Sunday. I think one of the most intriguing meetings of the big two in a long, long time. Liverpool, formerly known as one of the big two, obviously could be 17 points behind Arsenal at the end of the weekend in mid-October. Could be 17 points behind Arsenal. And the reason for this, Flynn, partly is because Arsenal beat them on Sunday. And I don't like calling out Premier League games that I was like, Arsenal have to be favourites here. They have to be favourites. They were only very marginal favourites. Yes, I don't know, kind of like it looked like a few decisions went against Liverpool, particularly the potential handball in the first half. They didn't have much luck. Arsenal got the job done. What was it like in terms of betting before the match, and how are we looking for the Premier League?
Yeah, so it was a very interesting market just in terms of the way that it shaped up. They were pretty much throughout the week. They were joint favourites at around the 6-4, like an 8-5 ish mark. And then when team news came out, because Liverpool went slightly more attacking, it meant that Arsenal went a little bit shorter than that. So Arsenal did end up going off favourites. Like you say, it wasn't really a tight match. I thought that Arsenal played great, especially in the second half. I thought absolutely all over Liverpool. We talk about decisions going going Arsenal's way. Sorry, but the passage of play was so one-sided at those points that if the penalty hadn't come then, I feel like Arsenal just would have pushed on and got that third goal anyway. So even though that penalty was contentious and Liverpool probably should have had one the other way as well for the handball, I do think that Arsenal would have kind of come back whatever the score line.
Okay.
If it did go that way. In terms of how it looks for the Premier League at the moment, Man City are 2-9, Arsenal in there at 6-1, Chelsea 25-1, Liverpool 25s, Spurs 25s, and then you 50-1 bar. So at the moment, you are really looking at a two-runner market. It's going to be really interesting to see how it shapes up this year, especially with the World Cup acting as that break in the middle. Is it going to hamper Arsenal? Is it going to aid Arsenal as been able to regroup? So it will be interesting to see how that all kind of takes shape. Obviously, we've got Europa League on tonight. Arsenal are starting in about 35 minutes, so they'll be wanting to get the job done there, so they don't get those extra two games in February for the playoffs with the teams coming in from the Champions League. So that's another important thing. So yeah, very, very interesting in terms of Premier League at the moment. What do you think about the title chances for Arsenal then, Johnny?
I think they're miles off City, being honest. And I thought Liverpool, especially in the first half, were actually the better team. And Liverpool are a mess at the moment. I actually backed them. Like, I'm on a good run with Liverpool. I backed them -1 against Rangers last night because I'd backed both teams to score in the game at Anfield, and I couldn't get over how bad Rangers were relative to Liverpool. It was like Salah being dropped. I was like, this is a good thing, and bring in a few fresh legs. The strange thing is, though, before we talk about the Champions League, I was kicked out of the house by the missus on Sunday, only briefly. She's like, watch the game in the pub. So I said, sure, I'm going to accede to your request. So I did watch the game in the pub, and I was a little bit kind of gung-ho pissed after winning a few quid. And I absolutely lumped on Man City to beat Liverpool because I think this is just like chalk and cheese at the moment. Liverpool have so many problems. City have very, very few, despite the fact they've had some wobbly results on the road, including midweek. So I checked the general exchange price after the Liverpool match last night. And Liverpool have actually gone out in the bet. They're now sort of give or take 3-1. I think City will be miles better than Liverpool, unless Liverpool can somehow get the belief from that game last night, where they were still all over the place in many respects.
It has to help Salah scoring those quick 3 goals last night, doesn't it? Him just showing something. He has to come back to a bit of form for you to find your feet again, I think. And yeah, I mean, 4-5 does feel a little bit big about City, but obviously as an Arsenal fan, I'll be hoping that Liverpool go and get the job done at 14-5. You've got 3-1 the draw there. Don't forget that we have our two good offer. That is on all the big leagues, so the Premier League, the Champions League, the Europa League, where if your team goes 2 goals up at any point in the match, then you're paid out as a winner. That's up to 200 quid of a stake and up to £1,000 worth of payout.
Could easily happen Sunday.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we've seen this happen quite a few times this year already. So definitely check out that offer.
Just from the perspective of the bookmaker, then, like the City not winning on Tuesday night, is like you think, oh, the bookies are going to cop the lot here. So how did that go?
let's have a look here. So, I mean, they tend to be acca-busters, really.
Obviously,
Let's see
Haaland
what the
didn't
book looks
start,
like.
so you're kind of worrying when you see that.
Yeah, let's have a look. So, I mean, I was just having a look at the Arsenal Liverpool game there, and Liverpool were actually decent losers for us. So we had a decent result there. Just see if I can find the city here from the week. When actually was the game? It was literally yesterday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, let's have a look. There we go, Copenhagen. So in terms of the actual result in that game, if it fancies loading, there we are. Not a huge amount of business done, to be honest. The draw tends to win us, tends to be the winner for us in both matches because we, in all matches, because obviously we have the two good offer. People want to play either team to win because then they can qualify for that offer, and the draw does nothing. So we can offer the draw as an arb most of the time, and we still don't lay it. So not that we want to lay arbs, but
it's a psychological thing where people. My brother backs the draw a lot, but people just don't want to back the draw.
No. It's a hard one to cheer on, isn't it? Because you're cheering different teams at a lot of the stages of the game, which is hard for people to get behind. And then you're always just hoping for no goal quite a lot, which is quite a hard thing to hope for, isn't it? In a betting sense. Hence why a lot of punters will just bet the overs and won't bet the unders. It's a similar type of mentality, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. So we're counting down, obviously, to that game on Sunday and the big game of the weekend. And yeah, if you're punting at a short odds type person, with that 2-2, I mean, if City are 2-0 up, I think they win. But Liverpool have so many holes in them at the moment. I don't know what they're going to do tactically. They're going to go 4-3-3 on Sunday. I imagine they will. Firmino, in fairness, is playing very well. Salah maybe will come on from the run last night and the confidence of scoring 3 goals. But you're dealing with a totally different ball game on Sunday, and yeah, I think that's a formality. And maybe you add Baid in at 6 is on, if you want a 2-9 rather ahead of Ascot, and this is the final card of the flat season pretty much. I will be in Mallow on Sunday, but this is obviously what's going on at the weekend. It starts off with Trushan. We have prices here on all the races: Creative Force, Emily Upjohn, Inspiral, Baid, and Blue for You, and Trinity and C are basically joint favourites in the last. But we start with Trushan. You've all these recognisable names. I see Ed Chamberlain talking to the race boys, so they're going to throw the kitchen sink at getting people to watch this. It is the last time we're going to see Baid, and he is 2-9.
Yeah, they haven't sold a huge amount of tickets, have they, Ascot? I don't think. I was speaking to someone today, and I think that they were struggling slightly, but there hasn't been a huge amount of hype for it. I saw that that kind of promo image that got sent out yesterday. That was in like that kind of music style headliner piece for like a festival, and the way that the names were arranged was quite funny because they were just a bit all over the place. You have to search around for Baid when he's the main event. Some of the horses on there you wouldn't expect to be on there, and then some horses that you would expect to be on there weren't on there. So funny whoever put that together, or whether they did it for that reason, just to get people talking. I'm not really too sure.
The other thing, it's become a small bit of an afterthought, and Richie Forrester or was in the race post. The lack of Irish runners. When I think he was pointing out when Frankel won his swan song race here, Ireland had gone through the card at that stage. There's barely an Irish horse we're talking about here. I mean, you've the likes of Wordsworth, like not much else really. I think Waterville is running. I think Waterville could be even the shortest Irish price runner, 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to this stage of the season, are the trainers for the proper horses just think about putting them away unless there's a real winnable opportunity to win a Group 1 race? I mean, it's a really, really good card in terms of there being so many Group 1 races, but are they really respected enough, especially breeding-wise, winning races on bad ground normally? And was it good to soft in places? Is that a potential angle as to why not a lot of potential stallions go here because of that reason? I'm not really too sure, to be honest, but yeah, there isn't as much buzz about it as there normally is. I just can't get behind it massively. It's not really my thing, the flat anyway, but especially when you get into October time and the ground soft, I just want to watch jumpers. So, but we will still get up for it. I'll still be there on Saturday on the track with Lofty and Hannah. So do come see us if you are at Ascot. And equally, obviously, have a bet online as well. We've got all of the races priced up, as Johnny just said. Just looking at spin through each race one by one. We haven't seen a huge amount of anti-post business, to be honest. I will pull out a few bets in just a moment, but we haven't seen lumps. Trushan is fairly easy to back anti-post at 15-8. You'd think that Trushan would have every chance in the world with the ground. Should suit a little bit cutting the ground, obviously coming second. Coltrane last time out Bit of a weird race that last mile as well, wasn't it, in the Doncaster Cup?
It was indeed, and I think what's compelling here is Waterville, who obviously landed a bit of a gamble in the Irish Bazaar, which a race that was promoted massively prize money wise, such that these higher class of horses would run. And then we've obviously Charles Burns winning the English equivalent with a much lower rated horse. Maybe I mean, 15 to 8 Rushan, I don't see an issue with that.
No, I mean, they must think a world of this Waterville to be bringing them over to this race. Do you think, though?
Yeah, he was kind of half fancied for the Derby at one stage. In fairness, I mean, his Irish Cesaro performance was ridiculous. He literally had to pass 30 horses in the straight, and he did. This is a different ball game, though. Possibly the most interesting race of the day for me.
Yeah, I think the market will tell you everything you need to know about Waterville, because we know everything there is to know about Trushan. We know a lot about the Varian runner. I know only one run a few times this year, but at least it's been doing that. So we know a lot about Coltrane, we know a lot about Quick Four and Trawlerman, etc. So I would imagine that the market will tell us a lot in terms of Waterville. So keep an eye on the market for the first race. Second race, we're 130 to field here. Creative Force, 130. Rohan, who's been a great old servant, 4-1. Art Power, 6-1. Kinross, 6-1. Obviously, last seen over in France. And then Naval Crown is 10. So that's for the champion sprint. Kinross coming back in trip here. Also coming back to 6 furlongs from 7. It's been very, very impressive though, Kinross. I'm quite surprised that he's as big as he is price-wise, to be honest.
What price are we talking?
6-1.
Then dropping back on pedigree, you're looking like, yeah, it might by Kingman. He was, I guess, if you actually recall, he was well held over the trip behind Creative Force at the meet last year. Maybe that was and the next time he tried 6 furlongs at Ascot, he's beaten again behind Naval Crown. So are you expecting that maybe on the soft ground, though? Who knows? And he was very good at Longchamp the last week.
Yeah, soft ground, stiff finish. I know that the race that won in Longchamp was possibly the worst race of all time, but still to go with a group race out there. It's going to love the ground, stiff finish at Ascot over the 6. I think it's not bad each way bet. I would imagine we'll probably enhance the place here to 4th or 5th as well come the day. So it's probably not a bad each way bet to be having, as it's obviously just going to be finishing better than most of these. So that's one to watch out for the champion sprint stakes. We are going to run our pit offer as well on all ITV races. So if you come second, beaten a neck or less, then you'll get your stake backs free bet up to a pony. So that is an offer to look out for all of these races. And then we've got the return of Emily Upjohn in the 240. How's Emily Upjohn going to go, Johnny?
Well, the Emily Upjohn we saw on Epsom or the Emily Upjohn we saw in the King George, you're like, I can't answer that question, but I don't think the break may not have done her any harm. And again, I mean, you're looking at the quality of the race. The Ascot, I backed her at Epsom, so I was like, this filly's going to be a star. Maybe I'd probably give her the benefit of the doubt. And it's kind of one of these races where like 7-2 could be an absolute gift if she shows up.
Yeah, I mean, this is one as a bookmaker that's just lay, isn't it? It's just on paper the best rated, but has got to turn over some very real doubts from recent times. So as a bookmaker, this is one that you want to get in the hod and then try and bet around, really. So I would imagine that's what we'll be trying to do come 2:20ish on Saturday. But then we get to the 320, which is the QE2. In Spiral is even money favourite now. That's gone out, was around 4 to 5 in the week, out to even money. Modern Games has been well backed in 7-2. The Revenant, who absolutely loves it here, is the Revenant and Patil normally are the two that come over. They always run at this meeting because they want the soft ground. Then Jadumi's in there at 6-1, and then you're 16-1 bar. Any Inspiral thoughts?
I wouldn't be on Inspiral at all. Inspiral is not straightforward. She has definitely complications. That's why we didn't see her until Ascot, when she was admittedly brilliant. She was turned over at 7s on, obviously then at Newmarket, which she was well below her best. Fair enough, she bounced back the last day. I don't think she's straightforward. I think this is an end of season thing. It's not the end of the world if she's beaten. And even on ratings, I mean, you look at the Revenant, obviously, as you know, Love the Ground is rated 114. Inspiral is rated 121. It's a £7 difference. But given that, I think there's every chance that she might bomb again. Probably does sort of need, ideally, a good sort of gallop sit-off. Jadumi's up to 115. Was amazing at Leopardstown the last day. Again, we'll love the soft ground. Another thing about Inspiral, if it's proper soft, how will she go on it? Yeah, it wouldn't be for me at all. I could see her drifting.
Yeah, I mean that's the play for me is to play against her because of the ground if it is going to get soft. You have to remember that she obviously gets a bit of weight from these, so she's getting £3 from one game. She gets 6 from the Revenant, 6 from Jadumi, 3 from Bayside Boys, 6 from Tempest. So she's obviously got the big weight advantage in there, but it will be the ground for me, and that'll be worth more than any weight, I would say. So I'll be probably trying to lay Inspire as well, but one which I'm not sure if we will lay, we might do in the without market on Corsican and with the forecast will be buy in the Champion Stakes. This looks quite an uninspiring race, to be honest. With Bailly coming here, I mean, would have been great to see Bailly obviously go and take on Alpinista in the Arc, but here at 2 to 9 is Bailly. A Dayard 9 to 2. At least a Dayard turns up, so it could be some type of a contest, and then you 10 to 1 bar. Does he just go and get the job done here?
I think in hindsight they made the right decision about Paris. It turned into, like, you look at Luxembourg in the race. If he got a pretty bad draw, he wouldn't have been able, I think, to come off the pace on that sort of ground. And it would have been a demoralising sort of end to a career in which he's been unbeaten and has looked, somewhere between Caesar Stars and Frankel, arguably. And this over a mile and 2 and a day art, is not a bad horse if he's back to his best, which he sort of looked like at Doncaster last time. Extremely good 3-year-old last year. It's still not a bad race. Even Bay Bridge was obviously highly touted earlier on in the year. It's disappointing that we don't have Irish runners in the race, but I think in terms of his stallion credentials, it's just slightly better that he goes unbeaten, which I think he will, as long as this doesn't turn into an absolute slog. I think he wins, and fair enough, it's disappointing, but Frankel was probably a shorter price when he ran in the race, and sometimes you just enjoy the virtuosity of it all, and you don't need to have a bet.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that this could suit a Dayard. I know that there's a big gap in the racing, so Bailly is the better horse, but the ground could blunt the speed a little bit over 1 mile 2. And I think that a Dayard could be a bit of a grinder. But look, I fully expect Bailly to put out more. But in terms of the conditions, I think this is one where a Dayard could get the closest that he could ever get to Bailly, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, certainly, and if so this is race 5, I'm not entirely sure of the forecast. The ground is going to have a big say in this. Baid, if you think of Caesar Stars, he was sort of slightly over the top by the Arc. It's only his 5th run of the season. Caesar Stars had 6, but maybe, just maybe, he boils over in the Parade Ring. I think this is a race where I tend to just wait before the off. And if you see Baid going into the stalls, or you see him going down to the start and everything is fine, and the ground isn't bottomless, he wins. But just things can go wrong when you're taking a price like that.
Yeah, just have a look at the weather here. Looks like we're going to get a bit of rain tomorrow. Looks like we're going to get rain on Saturday. So I'll be there with my Star Sports hood up and the umbrella above the joint as well. And Baid will be hoping that the rain doesn't come as well as I will as well. So that's the 5th race on the card. Then it's obviously a 6th race card. The last race is the Balmoral Handicap. Again, we'll probably be going an extra place or 2 here, and we might even run the Mind the Gap offer, so do keep an eye on that. Your 6th to field here, I don't have much of an opinion, to be honest. So I can't imagine Johnny's been through the Balmoral, so I won't ask him about that either. But that is the 6 champion races, and then we're onto the jumps from next week. We'll be standing at Cheltenham, so it's all change in the horse racing game, and loads to look forward to sports-wise across the board.
Yeah, and this is kind of the week in Ireland where that meet at Punchestown Wednesday. We all have our kind of this is the return of the jumps. For me, could even be Punchestown. Maybe it was Gorn, the recent meeting at Gorn. But something I did like about the Punchestown card, and that was yesterday, wasn't it? When you start thinking of Cheltenham and the first winner, Mary Nation, it was sent off 4 to 9, and I mean has to be on list for the Supreme already. Just to see a horse who's trained by, somebody slightly different, who's unbeaten, has been very, very flashy in his bumpers, and it was the first race. You're backing him into 4 to 9, even though he hasn't jumped a hurdle yet. And I'm just looking at the Supreme Novice hurdle odds now. Ooh, interesting. 16 to 1.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't put you off that here. This is Marine Nationale, who was twice unbeaten in bumpers. He's a horse by French Navy and won in a canter essentially on his hurdling debut in what wasn't a bad race at Punchestown at 4 to 9. Again, there is Barry Connell, who's been in amazing form. Now there is obviously the suggestion that I think he might have been in a point-to-point yard, maybe with Sam Curling. So there's that possibility that he will go out to say 2 and 5 in the Ballymore, for which he is. He's even listed. I wouldn't be against. He's 20s, so I wouldn't be against putting a few quids on both of those. I think there's a very, very good horse.
There you go, Marine Nationale. Mark your card.
There you go.
There you go.
And that is so that is Trader Chat. My bet for the weekend is Man City to beat Liverpool. Maybe the odds aren't great, but I think you're dealing with two teams that are worlds apart at the moment, and I can't see how Liverpool deal with Haaland when they can't even keep a clean sheet against Rangers, and Rangers could even have been 2 up in the first half. That was Trader Chat with Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward. Have a great weekend, be you at Mallow, be you at Ascot, be you at Anfield, be you wherever you are, with great races to come, and then we get into the meat of the jumps next week. Talk to you then.